So the only change of the use of the
Oh, just a minute.
You doing this?
Ready to start? Okay. I am going to call the meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals to order. This is not yet the start of the public hearing. It's just, we have some housekeeping things to do. The first one is to list for everyone here and on the tape who is participating as board members. Steve Beveridge and Tia Anderson, John French, and Sandy Cox. And I'm Deb Chapman, and for tonight, we're elevating you, right, Steve? To a full voting member. So we have 5 voting members. First time in my tour as chair. Okay. Any of the members of the board have a conflict to declare? Or bias?
No.
Okay. All right. I think at this point, I can open the public hearing. Correct, Shenley?
Do you want to do?
Election of auctions
Election
officers.
of-
Oh, yeah, see.
You're trying to get around that, what is that? I'll start it off with a motion that we nominate Deb Chapman as the chair of the board.
All right, all in favor?
See how easy that was?
Yeah, for you.
Make that easy, John.
I know.
Next time it's you.
No,
Okay, so is that now?
Congratulations.
now we need a vice chair.
All right.
And the minutes, I just want to let you know the minutes are. we have to table
We're not gonna
those
do those, right?
here.
Okay.
We need a vice chair.
All right, you want to nominate a vice chair? Somebody? Tia, do you want to nominate somebody for vice chair?
I nominate Sandy Cox.
There you go. I second.
I don't want to.
Okay, John.
I'll nominate
you.
John French.
I'll second that.
Right with that?
I mean, yeah, as long as you're here. Fine.
It's not the way it works.
No?
No.
Okay, no, it's fine.
All right,
Okay.
Do we need to vote?
we have to
on
vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
All in favor of John as vice chair?
Thank you, John.
John.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I can open the public hearing, correct?
You can.
All right. And we'll start with you, Shenley.
Okay. All right, so you have the application in front of you. This is going to be item A, letter A on your agenda. Chapter 290 zoning, Article 6, nonconformity, has to do with changes to the nonconforming structure in the shoreline areas, and has to do with foundations and a relocation. So, sorry, Vicky.
And
So I'll read you the request before, as you know, is a request to pour a foundation on an existing residential structure that's located within the town's shoreland area. A portion of the structure is located within the 100-foot setback. The property is non-conforming. The lot with the existing structure is on it, and that's how it's been for years. I think it's been there since 1930, so it's been built that long. So it's a historic property. It's been there for a long time. We've reviewed the application for completeness, and we have found that it's complete. The Zoning Board of Appeals, I put in your memo that you can refer to 290C relocation. And this says a non-conforming structure may be relocated within the boundaries of a parcel on which the structure is located, provided that the site of relocation conforms to all setback requirements to the greatest practical extent. That's your operative word there, greatest practical extent, as determined by the Zoning Board of Appeals. And provided, you got one more, and provided that the applicant demonstrates that the present subsurface sewage disposal system meets the requirements of state law and the state of Maine surface wastewater disposal rules. Or instead of that, or you could find that a new system can be installed in compliance with the law and said rules. And it just says, in no case shall structure be relocated in a manner that, of course, causes the structure to be more non-conforming. And so part of your other, in determining whether the building can be relocated to the greatest practical extent, you got to look at these factors, and I've outlined them in here. You shall consider the size of the lot. So when you're making your findings, or if you have any questions, just think about these things when you're thinking about the applicant before you. Look at the size of the lot, the slope of the land, the potential for soil erosion, the location of any other structures on the property and adjacent properties, the location of the septic system and the on-site soil suitable for septic system, and the type and amount of vegetation that would have to be removed to accomplish a relocation. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So you're kind of using that Article 296.6C relocation. And you have the authority, the power and duties to consider this application before you. And I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I've highlighted your, the applicable code in your copy and in your packet for you to refer to if you need to do that.
Shelley, you read the first part of 2. What about 2A and B on the next page?
Oh, you're talking about in the code?
Yeah.
Yeah, highlighted you're talking about
Tree removal.
6.6?
No, I'm talking about,
Oh, 2A and B. Yeah, that's a consideration too. I highlighted those in your packet. So if about trees being removed, they have to meet the requirement about replanting trees. So that's all that would be looked at in the code. You just want to make sure they meet the code. Staff would implement that and make sure that they adhere to the code. But what's before you today is you're deciding whether or not this structure is being relocated or is located to the greatest extent practicable based on those erosion, soil, and things I read out to you before. So that's kind of, if that makes sense, hopefully. And I do have a couple of things that, just for the record, I want to submit to the record that it's not clear in the application, but the owner it's Hosmer Valley LLC, and that's the legal name. And he'll be here to present everything to you, but here's the electronic filing that shows he has standing to do that and to file that. And I'll just keep that for the record. And then we did receive some communication from neighbors, and it was email communication, and we forwarded that to you all. And I think you all got that, but there's a printout of it right here in case you guys want to go through it. But this is going to be in the record as well. And I believe they're here too.
Great.
Right. So I have this. So if you want to see it, it's up to you guys.
did you bring the pictures?
Yes.
And
The only
there's,
part I didn't print out.
yeah, there's pictures in this copy too, if you all want to look at it, however. Okay.
Thank you.
And then I brought some contours just in case for the record. And then you have stuff to submit as well, right? Septic stuff and all that stuff. So, and I think that closes out, unless you want to make a finding that you accept the application and staff's report.
Yeah, John.
I have a question.
Sure.
It's maybe, no, but you're saying it's a complete application,
Right.
but we don't, up to now, we don't have a engineered sewer or septic plan. To
Right.
be part of a
He-
complete
and it-
application.
Yeah, it was probably confusing because he had the septic plan was included on the actual site plan you saw the survey. He's not proposing to relocate. It's a working system in place now, but he's not expanding the use. He's not requiring anything to change that.
Where
And
it
he'll
says-
testify to that, to you all, to
So where it
that.
says proposed,
Yeah.
that's where it is now.
You can explain that.
I'll wait-
Yeah,
I'll wait
he'll
till-
explain all
Okay,
this to you.
all right.
But yeah,
Okay.
he wasn't planning on replacing it, but it's up to you all,
Okay.
how you want to go forward with it. So
Okay, so
does that make sense?
Well, it does for at the moment. I'll wait
Okay.
till I hear Steve.
Okay, good.
saying.
Okay.
are you willing, do you want to make a motion that we'll accept it as complete? And
I'm not
Not
sure
yet.
yet. I want to know what's
We'll
going to be,
wait.
because I don't know. We really don't know
Okay.
which end it's going, because I saw it says Sandy did, it said proposed.
Proposed, so I thought they were
And I,
moving it, so I wanted to hear more about that.
and just want to make sure,
Yeah, I don't think he was
understand what we're
proposing
doing.
to move it at all. It's
We'll
just,
wait.
all he's doing is wanting to put a foundation under existing structure. And you got to make sure he's relocating it to the greatest practical extent.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah. So now we need to hear from Mr. Pixley.
Press your button.
Watch your
Just in
mouth.
case he doesn't know.
He's new to this.
So yeah, I do have 5 copies here. This is a septic design from David Struder. If you guys want to look at them, you can.
Is that the existing design? What's in place now?
That is not the existing design. The existing design in place was, I'm not sure when it was originally built, but in 1979, the folks that had the Hughes, that had the cottage before me, they bought it, and in 82, they put a new tank in. It was an old steel tank. They took it out. They put a 500-gallon concrete tank, and I don't know who the designer is, but Desmond Emery was the builder of that septic system. And that is, if you have a picture, I'm not sure what you have for pictures of the site. I have 2 bigger ones. Oh, you got the same size, yeah. So Sandy, as you can see, Hosmer Pond Road, and then you've got that little square which shows where that new proposed site would be.
Yep.
The tank is just to the left and forward of the building. And I think on that plan I just showed you, or I just handed out, that's got a tank site. The actual tank right now is literally just to the corner of the building, and to the left going down, just along the property line, is where the existing septic system is.
When you're saying left, you mean if you're facing the property?
Yeah, as you're looking at the water,
Oh, as you're looking at
to
the
the left,
water.
yes.
Oh, so you're
'Cause
talking,
everything's on the right-hand side of the building.
We're
Yeah.
looking at it the right.
Yeah, it's closer to Chechi's property, the tank and the septic system.
Yeah.
So if you look, there's that first deck, that's the lower deck, the square deck. The tank is just to the left of that, and then there's the field that slopes down towards the Hosmer Pond Road, and the system is right there. I don't know what it is. I asked Evelyn, because they lived there for 6 months out of the year, and every year until they bought that little place right next to McGonagall Market, and she said they never had a problem with it. So I've been using it. I had the tank pumped out after I bought it, and I was going to continue to use it, but my partner and I. So when I bought this, I had a partner, and he's since sold his half to me, but he wanted to demolish this building and start new. But once I got in and looked at it, I kind of fell in love with it. It's a beautiful old cottage, and started working on it. And he realized that he could see the hearts coming out of me. He said, "Why don't you just buy me out?" And I did, and I'm looking forward to preserve it. And so that's why I want to raise it up, leave it where it is, and put a poured foundation under it and put it right back down on it.
So are you doing anything to the septic system?
No, I wasn't planning on
Okay,
it. Septic system
that's
works.
all I want to know. Okay.
so this is 2 different plans then, right? This right now, your old existing and then the proposed?
What does this represent that you just gave us?
That represents a future plan if we ever wanted to put a new system in. Because when we first bought it, we didn't know about the system. I didn't know about the fact that they'd used it. I didn't know that Esmond, that they changed it, put a new tank in. So it's a system that works. And I'd like to continue using it.
So the proposed design is a moot point today.
That's a mute point today. I just wanted to show you that the area shows that you can put one on. If ever I wanted to maybe add on to that and get a new system, I could.
So is there a leach field existing?
Yes,
And where is that?
that's to the left of the building. As I denoted,
The right is we're looking at the.
I know,
to
I
right,
see the tank.
Yeah.
So where's the leach field? Is it heading toward the road?
It's right here.
Goes
yeah.
down the hill to the
Well,
road.
that looks like a new system.
This is the proposed new system if they were to upgrade.
Yeah, the tank
is right
there,
Yeah.
but the system now goes down here. It's what's this lengthwise coming down here.
So we don't even need this anymore.
No,
because you're not
It's a
even-
new
okay,
point. That's
right.
if he
So
ever had to.
we don't have a diagram or any information other than what you just told us about the existing system.
Correct. There is no diagram. There's nothing in town. There's nothing on record.
So on this plan, that location is where the leach field is, and you don't show the tank. Is there a tank to the
It is down here.
left of
Right
the
here.
house now?
Yes.
Okay, and the leach field is down in front,
Just downhill of that tank.
okay.
Yep.
No changes, everything's working fine.
Everything's working fine. I'm not going to change that. It won't be interrupted by me lifting the building up and putting a foundation in.
Pipes are going to exit the building at the same elevation, whether it has a foundation or not. Is that what you're telling us?
Correct.
Okay. One more question. Water supply. Where's your current drinking water supply come from?
Right now, the water supply comes from, I own property 600 feet away, my big house, and I have a well there, and I have a summer line.
A summer line.
Yeah.
Do you rent it year round?
No, I just live in that in the summertime while I rent my big house.
Oh, okay.
I used to get water from the pond, but about 6 years ago, the state did a big job and they crushed the pipe, and so that doesn't work anymore.
Other questions from board members?
Do you want to make a finding?
I
that
guess
yes,
I
that-
would ask one more
Is this
question.
the time to do that?
Yeah.
Your
Okay,
existing
start.
tank and
What are you doing?
field,
Study
does it
is
meet the
fine.
requirements
Fine.
from
Yeah.
their well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so. I mean, they've been there since 19.
Right. I was hoping the code officer would be here because I was going to ask him that question, but
Yeah.
What was the question?
his existing system,
Mhm,
grandfathered,
mhm.
they have a new drilled well. And I believe there has to be 100 feet of separation
Between the two.
between the
Yeah.
system, between the
Yeah.
sewage system and the drilled well. And I don't believe there is that, but that doesn't have any bearing on raising the building. But with this septic thing is, because my short tenure here on this little board, every time we've come here, it's been a shoreland zone. And that's always been a major concern as to where that effluent goes or where it could go. So, as you say, I'm pretty sure, being a guy that's dug in the ground for a number of years, they put that tank in and they have a huge crushed stone cistern, which is completely, it works fine. Particularly for year round, it works fine. So I'm sure that things are all copacetic there, but there are some separation things. If you change that, you may have to look at that. But we're not changing it. We're talking about raising the building. But these are questions that come to my mind as we look at improving properties.
I have a question if nobody else does. I can't tell from this diagram, what is the distance between your building and the property line of, I can't tell what direction that is, of any of them, actually. The property to the right of this is Cynthia Barlow. And above it, it's your LLC and Cynthia Barlow. And then John Schultz and Margaret Barclay are on the other side. I just can't tell what the distances are.
Yeah, the distances, I can give you approximate distances. The distance to Barlow's property is about 20 feet to 25 feet. It's about 15 feet to Megan John's.
I have a rule. Let me,
Yeah,
we can
but
measure.
those have been copied. I'm not sure.
right.
This is,
One at a time, please.
If you
That's
paid
okay.
Will for this plan, you paid him too much because it's not the scale, but that's neither here nor there.
Sandy, did you have a question?
Sandy, you want a ruler?
Oh, I was looking
yeah,
for one of
we
those.
were just
I'll
looking.
get a ruler. I was gonna.
Yeah, I tried to scale this out at home and it didn't make any sense.
Well, it's
One
probably
inch.
about
1 inch is what, 10 feet?
1 inch equals about 20 feet. So it shows about 7 feet from your building to the neighbor's property line and about 13 feet to Cynthia's property line.
This is saying 1 inch is 10 feet.
But it's not the scale. That means that building is 11 by 17, and we know, that's what tipped me off. I had to go over and measure things.
We're here.
I can't read it. from my-
If
What are you trying to?
half inch equals 10 feet.
Well,
on
that
one
says
plan.
1 is 10. That's the scale on the drawing.
Yeah, but it's not accurate.
Because I think this is
What is it?
Says
Quarter
one-
square?
Yeah.
So it's not
Um,
true.
it-
It's
1 inch-
probably for a 24.
Trying to
by
remember now,
36.
it's
1
what
inch
scale.
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
equals,
exactly, for bigger.
right.
This has been shrunk
1
down and
inch.
copied, so it's not gonna be to scale.
That's right. It's not going to be to scale.
Right.
And that's what I struggled with.
So
So
how are we gonna,
How do we know?
What are you trying to ascertain?
Well,
I want to see how far the building is from the property lines.
Why?
Why?
Why, yeah.
But isn't
Because
it
it's
a
not, we're not
moot point?
relocating a building.
We're not
It's
moving
it's already
anything.
non-conforming.
It's right.
Just,
It's
it's
gra-
not
the
conforming,
location
we're
is
putting a
grandfathered.
foundation
Grandfathered.
underneath.
It's
the
a
structure
non-conforming.
with no.
No.
Okay.
I thought it might be relevant to some of the questions that the neighbors raised, that's all.
Yeah, and they're here to,
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
but there's a proposed deck improvement, right?
I think you're
shrinking the deck, right, Steve?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. Overall, there's less square footage. is that
Correct.
right, he's proposed. It's in your packet.
Other questions from the board? From the neighbors? The public?
Any questions I have, or do you want me to speak?
Questions or comments?
Well, can we
Oh,
find,
we
have a
to
finding
find-
that has standing first, and then you can open
That-
up the public
that
hearing?
Mr. Pixley does?
Yes,
I'll
but
make
given
that
the Hosmer
Someone make a
Pond.
motion that,
I'll make the motion that we find that Steve Pixley has standing for the application.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all in favor?
okay,
Okay,
good,
voted
perfect.
5.
Okay, and then you can start the public portion.
And that's questions and comments, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So do you want to read do you have that form to read in for the public hearing?
Yep.
Might want to read that into the,
The procedure?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you only have to listen to this once. I was told that for the second hearing, we don't have to listen to this a second time. Does anyone want to read it?
You're the chair. You go right at it.
All right, the following procedures will be followed for the public hearing process. 1, the CEO, or I assume planner, will introduce the application and explain why it is before the Zoning Board of Appeals. 2, the board will hear from the applicant or the applicant's representative, who will offer testimony and evidence in support of the application. 3, the board will then seek comments from members of the public, which is not quite right, because we had board questions first, right?
Right. Yeah.
All right, so following that, the board will then seek comments from members of the public who wish to speak, comment, or ask questions. Questions and comments will not be taken from the floor, so that all comments can be heard by those in attendance as well as by those watching the broadcast or live stream of the meeting. Speakers must come forward to the microphone and identify themselves for the record by name and address. 4, all comments and all questions of the applicant must be directed through the chair. The chair may exclude irrelevant or unduly repetitious comments. 5, the first public comment period will be closed, and members of the board will be given the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant and/or the public. A second public comment will be open for the purpose of hearing new and relevant information only. The second public comment period will be closed, and if members have no further questions or comments, the public hearing will be closed, unless the board decides that they want a site visit. We don't close the public hearing if the board wants to have a site visit. We leave it open. 7, the board will begin deliberation. There will be no further comment from the applicant or the public. A board member may ask for clarification, but no new evidence may be entered into the record by way of testimony unless it was erroneously omitted. It is not appropriate for the public to interject during the zoning board deliberation phase of the review. And 8, the board will make findings of fact and then vote to either approve the application, deny the application, or approve with conditions. An affirmative vote of at least 3 members is required for approval. Okay, and so comments and questions from the public. Can you come to the,
I'll start,
okay,
and Meg can follow up. Does anyone need photographs? Someone, you said you did?
I would like, if you have copies, I'd like to
Sure,
have.
I certainly do.
That would be great.
Steve, do you have a copy of our packet?
I do.
Okay. All right.
Excuse me.
So they're all attached. Do you need the letters too? You don't need the letters. Okay, so I'll separate those out.
But they're all attached, just give us.
Well,
Just give
All
us the
right,
whole thing.
okay,
this-
okay, they're all attached.
Pass the whole thing and we'll,
Okay. Fair enough. Here you go. Oh, I need to push a button here, don't I?
it's on green already.
Yeah,
You're all set.
okay.
Yeah,
And,
another one there somewhere or what? Nope, nope. Yeah.
Did I have two clipped here?
Yes, you do, you're being greedy. Nope,
No,
you're not.
it's got 3 sections. I'm not greedy, John.
Yeah, come on.
Okay, thank you. I can
What,
follow
we can
along.
share. We can
No,
share.
it's all right.
Thank you, Mick.
And then I also have, I enlarged the surveys because we were discussing the distance from the property, and these are Gartley and Dorsey surveys that are record
Right.
surveys
We
registered.
have that already.
We have those.
You already have
Yes.
Gartley and Dorsey surveys?
Yes.
You do.
Yes.
Yeah, but as you said, it was shrunk down, so the,
No, that's not that one. That's the one pixel.
One for his own property.
See, if you read the fine print on Steve's one that he submitted, it says in fine print by Gartley and Dorsey, this is not a boundary survey. It says that right down there.
Yeah, I've read that.
Okay, on ours, which was done in 2013, it says it is a boundary survey.
Okay.
To your point about the setback lines for the, where the building's located. So, and then this second sheet is topographic survey by Gartley and Dorsey. Have a couple of those for you.
I can share, I can share. I can.
That will clarify some of the concerns we have that were presented in the letter.
It's not, but this is,
Same. This is topographical survey.
got it.
Read your elevations.
And you can see, and we did send digitally, I didn't bring them, the boundary line agreement with the Hughes property.
Yeah.
That was in the digital send, but it's listed there on the Gartley and Dorsey survey. Those heavy blue lines are the boundary, the boundary agreements that were signed with Evelyn and,
Mine.
no, just,
okay? And their pins, as shown on the survey, they're pins in the ground. On one of the, I'm waiting. On one of those photos, you will see a frontal view of the house from the road. You will see in the left-hand side where the swale of our property is, you will see a reflector on an aluminum pole. And that is where the Gartley and Dorsey flag is, pin in the ground is. There's a little thing, you can see that there. So in actuality, the Pixley Hughes building is not square to the line. At the near corner, it's about 5.5 feet off the line. It does widen as it goes back, so it is possibly around 7 feet toward the end, okay? And the to your questions that you were asking, and per our letter, one of the concerns is because our lot is so small and their lot and Steve's lot is so small, and the building's so close, that while I understand the wording of lifting the building and putting it back in the position in which it was on, you can imagine that when an excavator gets in there and excavates, how are you going to know where that spot was before, when you're done, when the foundation is getting poured? And I think I don't know whether that's a discussion to have with the code office or with you, but because of the proximity of the property, because of the topography issues and drainage issues and erosion issues, it is, in my view, imperative that this building be no closer than where it is at the end of the day. And I'd like to have some assurance. Now, one way to get that assurance would be for Steve to provide to you through Gartley and Dorsey to go out there and use our survey and measure the existing location of his building before it gets raised off the ground. That would be one way to do it. I don't think there's any other way really to do it, because a survey would have to go out there and do that with a laser. They would have to do that. So I think that's.
Just to let you know, staff can put conditions on the permit. We'll discuss it with the code office to make sure to put conditions on the permit. So when they get a permit, they have to apply for a foundation permit. So we can put conditions on them. Staff can. To however you want to do it, or you all can. It's
All
fine.
right, well, whatever. But
Yeah.
that's part of the issue. The other one, as you can see, let's move on to drainage now. And you spoke, Shenley, to erosion and the ordinance and all this.
Yeah.
So my view is, and let me step back a second. Steve and I and Meg have known each other for well over 20 years at this point. I consider us, all three of us, friends. Steve and Meg and I own quite a few properties along that area, along that part of the road. We've worked together on projects before. We even gave Steve a building that was on our first property, which he has up at his house. A shop. So I don't want to make this an adversarial. This is, as I indicated in the letter here, this is not an adversarial thing. It's an opportunity, I believe, to, as Shenley said, improve property. I think when you have these small lots, which are old lots, that a lot of them were, by today's standards, were undersized. They were difficult topography, and this area has a lot of difficult topography with the hillside. And we've experienced that on the improvement to our property. And that's why, and I can tell you that the challenge to put our septic field in, we wanted to make sure it stayed on our property. It was an extremely expensive system, and to get a drainage field in, and it has 2 1,000-gallon tanks, and we only have 1 bathroom in the place. It has to process all the sewage, and it literally, the soil scientist told me at the end of the day when they were putting it in that you could drink the water that comes out into the drainage field. I said I declined to take the opportunity, but that's how clear it is. And so I understand that apparently, according to Steve, the system is operating okay at the Hughes' property or his property. But that said, I would recommend that some of you at least take a site visit out there if you're not familiar with the property, because where that existing tank and field is, you would not be able to really notice it. It's full of trees. I mean, the field is full of trees. I'm sure the field has to be compromised because there are trees growing right there. I mean, it's all woods right by that field, where that field is. So whether it's working or not now, maybe it is. Maybe Steve's correct that it's working right now. But at some point, that's going to need to be addressed, in my view, as an architect doing a lot of projects in the shoreline zone. So, and then the only other thing is that, as we indicated, when you have the steep hill coming down and you have a lot of water rushing down there, I can tell you in the increased rainstorms we've had, that rock swale that we have at our place, which you can see when you go out there, we put that in to keep the water off of the Hughes Pixley property, as well as bring it down into the drainage ditch on the road. And that thing literally fills with water. It becomes a stream. So the problem that addressed in the letter is that when this foundation goes in, you're going to essentially have a dam across the back of this cottage. And if you look at the topography and if you look at the photos up there, you can see that the land slopes toward our swale. So the water right now, one can say, probably comes straight down the hill from Pixley's house. It goes under the cottage because there's nothing to stop it. So it's sort of blanket coming down like this. But what's going to hit that wall and it's going to shunt toward our swale. Now, I don't mind the water going into our swale. The problem is it is going to be a lot of water. We've seen a lot of storms, and that road, probably Steve knows well, it gets a lot of black ice on it. And this is not Steve's problem. It's unfortunately that the DOT has not addressed that road properly, as you probably are all aware. They have not ditched it properly. In front of Steve's property, there is no ditch in effect. In front of ours, there is one, and then there's a culvert out the other end of ours, which heads down toward Mullineau Road. But at Steve's property, there is nothing. It's just a flat right out onto the road. And so the water comes down from Barlow's, or then Chechi Barlow property next door, and sheets down there, and often the town trucks are out there chopping up that ice in the winter on rainstorms, wet snows. So and then the last thing, which is addressed in the letter, which you can see in the photo on page 3, is that, and this is one of those things that fits into improvements in my view. You can decide what you want to do with it. Steve can decide what he wants to do with it. But our arborist, as I indicated, we're having Dave Bragg Tree Service come out to our place, and we're going to take down 2 more 75-foot high oak trees behind our place because they've been compromised down at their root system, and we don't want them to fall over towards Steve's property. We don't want them to fall on our cottage. This tree that's shown here was looked at by Dominic Fontaine last week. And when he looked at it and he showed me where the bottom of it is compromised now, it is up against that large boulder. And so the only root system it has, he pointed out, is coming our way and downhill. And it's a pretty good sized tree. And when it falls, it's either going to fall, unfortunately, on Steve's cottage, which would be a tragedy to begin with, or if it pulls back our way, it could come over, and it definitely might take that other pine that's on the right side of that photo with it, and that would fall and damage our cottage because these properties are so close. So I don't know how that gets handled, but it would just seem to me, I mean, if it was my project, I was putting this foundation on, I would go ahead and remove that tree when I could, because it's not easy to remove them after the fact. So that's all I have to say. Meg, do you have anything to add?
I'll say one thing.
Okay,
Just one.
fair enough.
Well, 2 things.
Okay.
So, and John, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the question got brought up about our well. So our property had no well. It also got its water from the pond, and we drilled a well out back as far uphill as we could get it. But we, from our field, had to get like a state dispensation or whatever it was because it was too close. And I believe it's sleeved as a result of that pretty far. Our
Yes.
well is sleeved pretty far down.
Our well has 100 feet of
casing.
Yeah.
Of casing around it, it goes down into the bedrock.
Yep.
Because of that requirement by the state and to keep the water pure from the waste system. So yes, that's what our well has.
So the other thing I just learned tonight, so I did not know that the septic system at that cottage site predated the Hughes, that the Hughes put in a new tank, but they did not put in the field, and that the field is essentially unknown. But I can tell you that some of the field design on our property that we ran into was extremely sketchy and old school, like it was the body of a Model T was the septic field at our property. So we don't know what this ancient field might be. So that's concerning. So that's it.
So board members, we can question, I believe, ask questions of the applicant.
Absolutely, you can ask questions. I just want, just for clarification, septic tanks, systems are designed on a number of bedrooms and not bathrooms. And just so you know, you do have a design here that's, it's already designed for a system if you to put a new system in. We have a design for a septic system, which
new
is what he
system.
submitted. Yeah, if it was a new
Just
system.
said that wasn't part of today.
It's not part of his thing, right? But it's, this issue is coming up and I know you want to address it. Maybe Steve will want a chance to address the comments. But most of these issues are things that we will address during permitting, during the permitting section.
Well,
Like for septic tanks, if there's an issue, anything, like when we're, the foundation going back where it needs to go, we can put conditions on the permit to tell them that they have to, whatever, do a survey and make sure this, because it's such a tight spot. And I know how the neighbors are worried about it shifting, and that we want to make sure it goes exactly back where it is in place.
So part of this raising the foundation is gonna be a perimeter drain to the foundation, like I
That's what
understand.
we got
Yep.
asked. you know.
Yeah.
So where is the outlet gonna be for that? Because the last place you need it is to go on to Hosler Pond Road. Because like John pointed out, there is a lot of ice on that corner right there at times.
Well, like John's swale that goes down, it goes to a small ditch and no outlet on the road.
Mhm.
There's no way for it to go. So eventually it is going to go over the road, or it's going to seep in. There's no culvert on that side of the road, correct?
There is a
under our driveway,
There is
it's
a
really
culvert under our
undersized.
Mhm.
It's only like 10 inches or something.
Yeah, there's a culvert there, there's a culvert on the other three properties going down that road. There are culverts. There's nothing under your driveway, and your driveway comes out flat on the road. and your property
Yeah.
comes out
So
flat.
there was a ditch, and we put big crushed rock there. So I would imagine water would still find its way because the crushed rocks, it's big rock. It's like, we put that there. I could take it out, but we put it there for parking, basically.
John?
The reason that concerns me, because we had an issue down the street from where I am. The lady down the street, she had a drain that went under the road, it got crushed. Everybody else put their drains into the back. They ran theirs out on the street, and it caused a major ice issue on John Street for quite some time. Well, we ran into, it's a state aid road like this one is, and the town didn't want to step in because it's a state aid road. The state didn't want to do anything. So eventually, they ended up spending about 50 grand putting in a whole drainage system for this one house. The state did.
Yeah, I can understand the,
And we don't need to create a
you're gonna
worse
say-
problem that's already there.
but the thing about that property is that gigantic glacier erratic ledge, when you go above that, it sheds off on both sides. So even on big rain events, I haven't seen, so the water already is going away from the cottage. I never have any water going under my cottage because, and you can, more than welcome to come see it. It's a sheer, climbers would love it. You can climb this thing. It's sheer straight up, and it's got to be 60, 70 feet. But above it, it sheds off both ways. So I don't get water coming down directly under the camp. So I can't see, and I mean, any water that does, obviously, when we do our insulated concrete slab and foundation, we'll have a drainage so we can have, crush rock and a pipe so it will go around it. But I really don't see that being that big of an issue because of the fact that the water it already sheds off above it. So there's no water directly behind the cottage.
But did you get an answer to the question you started with, which is where is that water going to go?
No, I didn't.
Well, the water's going to go exactly where it goes right now. I mean, it's not, I'm not going to have any more water.
When you put a perimeter drain in, you're gonna concentrate it somewhere on your property.
Yes, but it's all going
Coming
to,
out.
you are going to concentrate it, but it's going to be the same amount and it's going to go where it goes now, which is right in front of that ditch that I have with a big rock on it.
But you have I don't know what now, is this stone wall you got, is that a yes or a no, or is that a proposed one, or?
That stone wall that's on the survey, yeah, that was there when I bought the place. All it is
But it's not there now.
it's a series of rocks. It's what's kind of a stone wall. I don't know. I mean, why it's basically there's rocks there, but it's not like high. It's more like you can step over it. It's like pretty much one set of rocks.
Okay.
Where exactly is this pipe going? You're saying you're talking about somewhere underground, your perimeter drain?
Did you see the last page
Where's it coming out?
of the?
Well, we can put it we can put it anywhere we want because we're going to be digging and putting pipe and crushed rock on the outside of the actual.
Those are things he's gonna have to do.
John's question, where is that water going when it comes out of that pipe? Where is this pipe?
The pipe's going to be along the outside of the back of the foundation
Yeah.
and along both
It's
sides.
going to come forward, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when it comes forward around the building, where is it going to come to? Ours goes around the building. We have an interior and exterior drain, and it comes out, you can see it. It comes out right at the culvert next to our driveway. You can see the pipes
Mm.
right there. So the water comes right out and it goes into the culvert and it goes down the ditches of the road. Where is yours coming out and going to?
Probably wherever when I get my permit, wherever the code enforcement officer tells me it should.
But that should be in the design, shouldn't it?
That's-
Where this is gonna be.
Like I said, when he if he were to come for a permit for the foundation, he's going to have to meet, like there's stormwater runoff and they have to divert that to, it's all going to be, this is something that staff can handle during.
But
The
but part of the
foundation.
findings of fact is you've got that's supposed to be part of the CBA decision. If you have where the drainage is going, whether it's gonna impact the neighbors or impact the road or anything like that, we don't have that.
In our code, it says here, it says all new construction development shall be designed to minimize stormwater runoff from the site in excess of the natural pre-development conditions. Well, this isn't new, but where possible, existing natural runoff control features such as berms, swells, terraces, and wooded areas shall be retained in order to reduce the runoff and encourage infiltration of the stormwater. So when we're looking at a permit to put a foundation, they're going to have to look at the whole site. But you're talking about for making a finding of fact
Yeah.
that you may state your concern in this and say you want staff to make sure they address the issues of stormwater being met on site, being dealt with on site. Because that's just our normal permitting is what we would look at. Like if in issuing a permit for a foundation, they're going to look at
True, that's
stormwater.
normal permitting,
Right.
but this is also in the shoreline zone, so that kind of changes a lot of the normal stuff.
Right,
So
somewhat.
that's why you got to define what you're gonna do, I guess the word would be, or put it in thing.
Well,
And first thing, Steve, I'm not against this, and please don't think I
Yeah.
am. And I agree, it'd be nice for you to fix it. I just don't want it to create a problem. Because I know driving up that way, I've seen the ice on the road many times. And I've seen the town crew up there with a front end loader try to scrape it at times. So I just try not to create a worse issue. You know, so,
I usually see the ice further down.
well, it's actually from, yeah. But anyway.
Okay, so we can deal
So-
with that.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, but we're gonna approve something which we know nothing about what we're approving.
No,
Right.
but
Well, but
That could be a
we can
condition.
approve it with conditions.
Yeah.
So that it meets zoning requirements and.
Right, that's just like saying,
minimizes.
Approval and
right.
minimizes impact.
we
right?
want to require
'Cause-
staff to do their job. It's like, we're going to look at all these issues. And some of these, like we were saying, is yes, it's well pointed out that these are concerns because it's the unique situation that we have here with the size of the lots and the drainage and all that. But staff is doing any kind of permitting. We're going to look at everything that's in the code. I mean, this code is huge about,
But the code doesn't say anything about where it goes. I mean, it's gonna say around perimeter pipe, it's gonna have whatever, the
it has to
4-inch
be,
pipe.
it has to be
around.
maintained on site as much as possible. So we're going to work to do a design that will minimize any offsite impacts as much as possible. That's just natural. I mean, it happens everywhere. People, you develop in cities and everybody's, one thing goes wrong and then it spreads everywhere else. And it's just that one after the other. But we were trying to minimize the impact and keep it on site and mitigate against it going off
So
site.
that's
That's
the
just
question. How
normal.
do you keep it on site?
Well, that's for the design for them to figure out. Like you just, I know you want to make a decision and make a finding based on, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
I
I understand that in a room like this is hard, but if you wanted to go on, I mean, literally on top of that rock, the topography goes both ways, sheds both ways. So there is no water or very little, even on a high rain that comes down on that rock, on that, because there's a little patio back there. So I know, and I don't see, at one time, I remember they had a storm. I remember thinking, oh, look, there's water, just because of the fact that there's so much rain coming down, but it sheds off on both sides already.
John, you had mentioned that during the most recent very heavy storms, your swale or your downhill
Yes.
drain was full.
Mhm.
So where is that water coming from? Is it coming off the rock?
Water's coming off of
The mountain
our property, and it's also.
and my property,
It's also coming off his property.
the upper
into
property.
Our swale.
That's what I thought.
Right, so
Okay.
that's what
Still
I'm trying to not have.
That's the reason they put the swale.
Right.
But basically, it's already coming off property that I'm not gonna touch that property up there. That's already slanting up. A lot of it goes over to Chechi and it already goes over to John's.
Yeah, but when it comes down, Steve, it hits the back of the new foundation. It is going to stop at the foundation. And because of the topography, that topography slopes toward us. So that back wall, that new foundation.
That's correct.
I don't want to be hard.
No, that's correct. But it's such a minimal amount that I'm sure that we can, you put a pipe down, you can direct whatever does come on high rain events to do where it goes.
Fine, but as John said,
It's also the past in terms of rainstorms and other climate events. There's absolutely no prediction of the future. We all know that at this point.
Mm.
So Tia, did you have a question or
I
comment?
was, no, go ahead. Finish.
I just address the three things here. The building staying where it is. You can involve an engineer, but any worthwhile contractor is going to take some ties, probably off in your house. They're going to triangulate them, and that building shouldn't move 2 inches one way or the other.
Mm.
That's,
Go up
it
and
would be,
back down.
it would
yeah.
be a poor contractor, and that would be on Mr. Pixley, that moved that building in any
No,
direction.
we sure, it's just gonna go up and then go back down. I can't see it moving even an inch.
Well,
Well, I think to his point, he was saying that an excavator gets in there, but he's right.
they're
They're
going,
gonna
the
find
hole's,
different
the hole's
ways
got to be,
to
the hole's got to be bigger than the
That's gonna
foundation.
drive where
To
that
put
house gets at.
forms in there, it's got to be 18 inches to 2 feet outside of the wood structure.
correct, but it's a very tight area.
Yes, it is. I walked up your swale today. I looked it over pretty carefully. The building moving, in my mind, is a moot point. The water runoff is something that will need to be addressed. Concrete foundations tend to change groundwater flow, but adequate French-type drains, rather than backfilling with sand or granular material, if they backfill that to the top with stone, pipe it properly, it's going to come to the ditch. And that can't be stopped. The ditch in front of Mr. Pixley's is inadequate.
Correct.
Okay, that's not Mr. Pixley's problem, but he can address it. It's actually the state's problem.
Correct.
And that is something that probably the neighborhood coalition should get together, approach the state and say, let's fix this drainage problem. A squeaking wheel will, get a little attention. Because as a road guy, I would say that ditch was at less than 30% of its potential. So it could carry 70% more water with some corrections. So that's just a farmer looking at it, if you will. But there will have to be some care taken in the foundation drain. And the options are you could split the water, you could make it drain from the center of the foundation either way. And that both of the abutting property owners will bear some of that burden because it's going to be closer to them. Or you can channel it all one way, but it's completely doable to reduce surface runoff. Now, what you do down in the ground, no man knoweth.
I have a question. Having done some work with excavators myself, I know how big they are and what they do to land that they go over. So looking at the pictures and also at the drawing, where is that machine going to be positioned and where is the concrete truck going to be positioned?
Well, Walter Lamont has, I think, 7 or 8 different size excavators, and he's the one that's going to be contracted to do this. We're using the insulated block system. It's like a Lego block system, so it's a little smaller, less concrete. So that'll be a little bit smaller of a ditch. That's going to be a question for him. You know, he's going to have to set that up. He's been on twice to the site to look at it.
Typically
So-
with the elevation, they would bring a truck that with either a long chute or a pump, and they would pump it in so they could set basically in the road
Mm.
and shoot the concrete into the foundation.
Yeah, we did that along the edge of a quarry.
Yep.
Same thing.
I notice they get creative when they have to get the
Yeah.
concrete where
But
they
the
need it.
As
excavator,
long as you got the money, they can do it.
where's the excavator going to be?
Again, that'd be a question for him. He's going to be all around. He's going to have to, he's going to lift it up high enough so he can get under it and work around and do the digging. So then we can put it's like little Lego blocks. Have you seen the insulated luck? My friend just did it in Rockport. And so I went up and watched him do it, and Walt's done many of them. So
Is there going to be a need to get on John's property to get the house, the cottage up off the ground and dig for the foundation? Or can be all done from the front?
I'm assuming it can be all done by the front, but that's another question that I'd have to ask Walt.
Well, it is not going to be on our property.
I understand that, John, but I just, can that be a condition?
Very neighborly of you.
No, I understand that, but
Yes,
can that be a condition for Steve to, if he's putting that
There's not
in,
enough room to turn, John.
must do it from his property?
Yes, he must do it from his property.
Yeah, ours is
Just like we
fully
did.
landscaped.
No, I understand.
Ours is fully landscaped now and.
Yeah, oh boy.
Year-round.
The
It's a year-round
the
rental.
best looking hosta in Hosmer Valley, right here. I'm telling you. Yeah, we'll have to work around that.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
So what's the intention? How far are you looking for a foundation cellars? 8 foot or 6 foot, or what are you gonna do?
What's in the back would just be because it goes up pretty fast. So halfway up, it's just gonna be probably just a crawl space. But up front, hopefully it's gonna be, store stuff in there, you
Like
actually.
a ledge underneath there too, isn't there?
Exactly. And we're not sure what we're gonna find. So it all depends. But the big thing is just to make it so the future of this, historic building, it'll be, be able to, instead of just posts, it'll be a real foundation. So,
So you're not looking for a basement per se as much as a frost wall around the.
I'm just looking to make it so this building is fortified with a real concrete foundation. Yeah.
So if you run into ledge, you're not going to blast it, you're going to build.
I'll drill and pin and
Yeah.
just like I did with the other cottage down the road.
Putting a frost wall in is your goal and if you can gain some space, so be it.
Exactly. For storage, canoes or boats or whatever.
And you'll do it on your property. All the work will be done from your property.
So it appears,
Or
yeah.
the road.
Yes.
So it appears.
So it will have to be.
So the intention is to jack it up
Down
and
before stairs.
crib the house up
Right.
and go in there with a bobcat or something like that and try to dig out under it?
Exactly.
You can go through, yeah, just
And
stick
it's
with your
true,
review
like,
criteria
the-
here.
The back, the uphill side, and this property's like practically in the dirt. I mean, it would help it a lot to get it up.
Well, no question. I question how much actual foundation wall you're gonna get, because there is a lot of rock and, you know, you might find a boulder that's bigger
Yeah,
than your house.
in the back, it'll be, again, in the back, it'll be, literally just
Right.
maybe a 3 foot, and then hopefully it'll come back. So in the forward front, you can have, storage space, room, maybe a window, foosball table maybe, or something, But the basic thing is to preserve the building.
Well, to me, it sounds like we're not gonna make a decision on a lot of stuff other than the fact we're gonna be
Yeah, but we
concerned.
need to go through these.
I know,
Just
but-
stick with what your purview is with the reviewing, like, that's in the code.
Yeah,
And
the
just
big
go
thing
by
is,
those are your findings.
can
and
it go
facts,
anywhere
each one,
else?
And can it go
That's
What now?
anywhere else? Right,
Can it be moved anywhere else? Can
Right.
it be made
house?
less non-conforming?
right.
Right,
That's
well,
what the standards.
To the greatest
I-
practical
Yeah.
full extent, right.
So, but there's
greatest
certain very specific questions like the size of the lot.
we don't have an
Well-
actual
I know. But
size of the lot.
maybe he knows what it is. Do you know what the size of the lot is, Steve?
Well, I think in this, in this format paper here, I have down,
It's in the septic.
I don't know if I have that.
It's 75 feet by 50,
That's the
I
lot?
believe what that lot is.
That's in the town tax map.
This is, this comes from the design for the septic system. They put conditions on it. So if he gets a new system, it's already got the conditions for what he has to do to make it work.
Yeah.
So that's already been done.
Size
He
of the
hasn't
house,
applied,
right?
but it's already been done and we
For
would look at it.
proposed system.
Yeah, for a proposed system.
But we're not even
And
talking
the
about that
structure
tonight.
is-
No,
this
but
is
everybody keeps
existing
asking.
square footage.
Well, I know, because
You know,
generally
'cause they
that's
wanna
what-
make it
that is
good
part of the
decision.
discussion.
Absolutely. And he's got 12, how many acres are used, Steve?
Okay, but
Trying
it's
to see
not
your
so much
acres.
the size of the lot, it's probably the topography. The
Right,
next
I
one
mean,
is
it's a
the
small
slope
lot.
of the land. And I know you gave us contour maps, and are those contour lines, the ones I'm used to are 10 feet? What are they between?
Those are 1 foot.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
Back to the issue of the size of the lot. Those lots along there, when Garland Dorsey did the survey of our property, they had to, and they surveyed other properties along there that we own. They had to really search hard to
Yep.
establish the width of those lots.
75 by 52.
Again, back to the point that Steve's application thus far has referred to the approximate boundaries, side yard boundaries from the tax map. And Garland Dorsey says this is not a boundary survey. So that right now, if you will, loosely said, that cottage is floating in space on that lot because you don't have the actual location with an actual certified Garland Dorsey boundary survey.
Except that one line between us.
Right, the lot that's
Yeah.
established
Yeah.
here, you have your survey that establishes the
But
lot,
we have-
that
we have
concerns your
our-
property.
We have our line.
That's
So
Right.
we have that line.
So if, essentially, if they measure from that line off of this survey to the building, they're gonna know exactly where that side of the building is,
Mhm.
and they can
John,
raise it
as
from
long
there.
as, because it's grandfathered, it's probably closer to the line than
Oh,
what
it is.
typically. As long as the corner of the house goes back where it started, it's a moot point.
It is,
Right.
it is,
Mhm.
once it goes back there.
That's right.
Right.
So I mean, that's the issue, getting it back,
Getting it back.
where, which I think Steve said, you're gonna set some pins or some points off 2 or 3 locations, and that it's gonna,
Well,
And there.
hopefully.
well, I mean, you've gotta rely on your contractor and the
Yeah.
code
Right.
officer.
Right.
So I think it behooves them and the code to get it right, but you're gonna be monitoring it the whole time. So it's
And
you,
there are inspections before they
Yeah,
pour
we
a
got
foundation,
inspections,
forms
so-
are set. And they're
And
gonna
I'm
come
paying Walter to
inspect
lift it
where
up
it's
and put
at.
it back down. I don't think he's gonna move it.
Yeah, that's extra.
He'd charge you
money.
more if he did.
so he's gonna just lift it up, crib it
Right.
and dig it, put the foundation in, drop it down.
Exactly.
But still, you have the obligation to put it back where it started.
Yeah.
But seems to be no doubt about the inability of moving it back. I mean, the standard we're looking at is, can it be made any less non-conforming?
Yeah, but unfortunately, because of that cliff, it
How
And-
clo- how
and-
close are you to the rock? To the
Pretty-
boulder?
pretty close.
There are
Eight-
pictures. that
Six
were good
feet.
color showing it,
Yeah.
His-
6, 8
That's
feet?
right. That's exactly right. 6 to 8 feet. I pasted off.
Is that part of the housing, there used to be a development that was approved by the state many, many years ago. Like, I remember like 50 lots up there about this big,
You're talking about the Ritterbush, the famous Ritterbush plan?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's a little further. Yeah, the Avenue A and Avenue B.
Right, because I remember when we had the discussion about the town right of ways and paper streets.
Yeah, and we and Steve owned a few of those lots for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and we sold ours not that long ago.
Yeah, Avenue One,
Part of that original
Avenue,
development.
well, Avenue One and Avenue Two, actually, the northern part of them, for some reason, they got wider, both the avenues, the fake roads, and that ends right where Cynthia Barlow has her property,
Mhm.
and then I own the upper property with her, because the Hughes owned it with her when I purchased it.
Moving position of the house this way, is there really a problem? Just a matter of
Yeah.
the rest of it.
Exactly. But I mean, that we still have to go through these.
Oh, I understand.
And it may be, I mean, location of other structures. Are there any other structures on your property?
No.
And adjacent properties, we've already discussed. We know what the structures are and how close they are. And I don't know, the septic system, I don't know whether we even want,
Well, it's the proposed one is not even on the table.
Exactly.
So we're dealing with the
so we don't
existing.
have to deal with that. And removing vegetation when the excavator comes in and digs, I don't see any problem. There's not going to be that much. The hole is going to be what's under your house now,
Correct.
other than whatever tracks.
We're gonna have to replan it.
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
keep the-
But that again is something the code officer would insist on. And I think the tree,
Any trees coming down, Steve?
are you planning to move any
I could
trees?
definitely take a look at that tree. I think I looked at it once I saw that picture.
I would for your sake, I mean,
But-
because.
Yeah.
But
That's
there's
not
no
our
trees
decision.
coming down because of
No,
No.
the
No, no.
foundation.
It's not what?
Our decision, that tree is on.
No, I'm sure he wouldn't want it to fall on his house.
Right, but that's
so,
up to him to pay somebody.
to-
it's
Right.
outside of the work, but
If it
I
compromises.
appreciate the fact that you saw that, and I would definitely take a
Absolutely.
look at it.
Right.
But the other trees on the property around the house don't have to be disturbed.
No.
What about the roots? What are you doing with that? I remember we did this, we had an arborist that had come up and
Oh, yeah.
make sure, because it was
Yeah.
mature growth. I remember.
The two trees that are right on the road, those are pretty far away from the existing septic system, but I could definitely, if, like, John actually brought something to my mind, I hadn't even thought of that the trees are pretty far away from the system, but if the roots would be getting into them, I could take them down as well, because I'm not in love with them.
You should be.
Camden is a tree city.
Well,
As far as any trees around the foundation, there's nothing in there that meet the standard for shoreline zoning. They could remove them anyways, brush. Okay, and that's
But 4-inch diameter or larger has to be.
right. And there's nothing around the house 4 inches or larger, I
There's
believe.
there's
What about
two in
this?
front.
Is that-
There's two in front, but that's right on the septic system, isn't it?
it's closer to the road than the septic system, but
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh.
they could, yeah. They could, 'cause I don't know how far out they go.
Yeah, there's a couple of
So
stumps
you'll
there.
figure that out, whether or not those trees need to come down.
Yeah.
The other woody and herbaceous vegetation, that's what you're talking about.
That's what I'm
right?
talking
Is
about, yeah.
The shrubs. Okay. And again, that would be something the code person would insist on what you replant there.
He'll need a shoreline permit too, so it goes through several permitting, so.
Okay, so are we ready to do, I think we have to do findings, right?
Findings, right?
Mhm.
At this point. And forgive me for having to ask so many questions, but it's been a while, thanks to the pandemic. Do we start with finding as a fact that where he's located?
You could start with one and say it's a fine, somebody makes a motion to find as a fact that the applicant's property is located at 383 Hosmer Pond Road, map 227, lot 97. It's in the R1 district and the applicant's requesting to construct a new foundation beneath an existing structure. That could be one fact.
And so
You could
does
vote
anyone
on
want to
that.
make that motion? Step right up. Aren't we? I mean,
So,
we've
John, I
we've
just
gone
didn't
through
know,
the
John. Okay.
standards. So I assume that we're now ready to do the findings of fact. Is that not?
I don't see what it's gonna change. We've already talked about, and everything seems to point to the ordinance and
Okay.
CEO, and I'm still concerned about drainage.
Yep.
That, because that, could be an issue. And
But we can do a condition about that, right?
the condition is gonna be, it's gonna have to be approved by the code office and that, but the problem I have with that is it's 5 years from now, and it becomes a problem, is the town gonna step up and say, you gotta do something, or they're gonna say, no, it's a state-run road, state aid road, and it's nothing to do with us, and that's what happened last time. So,
Can private people, I think whether it was John and Meg who suggested this, if the neighbors got together and hired a contractor to correct the drainage along the road, would the state object?
No.
well, that might
You
also
have the
be,
state do it.
but that might
If
also
the
be.
state won't do it.
I think you're right. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. If
Yeah.
we start making some noise, if there is an issue, then we can
But that
fix it.
also could be part of the thing that he improves the ditch in front of his house to handle the water that's gonna redirect.
Can he do that?
With the state's permission, he could have a contractor in there.
I
I
could
think he's gonna
definitely,
run into ledge. I think that's a problem they've had for years. And that's why they haven't dug it out, because of the expense. And that's why
No,
the
I
state has
think-
not
Along
done
the
it.
road there, is that what
No,
you're
I-
saying?
I-
There's
All up through
ledge
there.
right
Ledge
there?
right there.
I think it's enough. I think there's enough, from what I've dug and the fact that the system's there's enough soil there to make it so you'd have a proper ditch.
John, did you do your swale in front of by the road? Did you do that, or was that done by the state?
We did do some of it, yes, and then the state came in and, or somebody, I don't know whether the town or the state, but they improved it, but we actually did, Ryan O'Donnell came in, when he cut the swale down through, he wrapped around the front there, and he created that because that became the back side, if you will, of the leach field, of the raised leach field. So he had to do that in order to create the raised leach field per design.
Did he run into any ledge?
No, we did not.
It's boulders, that's the.
Boulders,
thing.
yeah.
It's like boulders that have rolled down the mountain.
Right.
And then dirt's collected
Covered over
around
it,
and
yeah.
it's kind of what's in that area.
Okay.
And actually, to someone's point, when they were drilling our well back there that Meg mentioned, the well driller came in, he backed as far as he could back there to meet the state requirement. He started to drill, and all of a sudden, about halfway through the day, there was this tremendous crunch, and actually he ruined his rig because what he hit was not ledge, what he hit was another big boulder. He hit a huge boulder that had to be removed. And it was really big, and what happened is the well drilling stem glanced off like this, and it broke it. And so that's the problem with that back area. So there may be these boulders on the back side.
You can't put a condition on that's contingent on
I
the
know,
state.
but I want
Well,
to
I
in
can
a
tell-
minute say we're concerned,
Exactly.
concerned about the runoff and make sure it doesn't become a problem for the road and traffic and the neighbors.
And the town will work with the state on the maintenance plan. You know how they have the work plan to
Okay.
make sure it's cleaned up. You know what I'm saying?
I know what
We have a
you're saying.
maintenance, we have a work plan with the state and we can work with them on that problem for that
Okay.
road. Okay. I said that.
Okay.
We'll hold you to that.
Okay.
So, all right, so now the first thing we'll do, we gotta say it's complete, right? We haven't done that yet, complete application. We're gonna vote on that, because
Yeah, we can, yeah.
because we are not accepting, this is not in play.
Nope.
This is a proposed, so we're existing, so now it is complete,
Mhm.
correct?
Yes,
Correct.
So I'll make the motion, we find the application to be complete.
second.
All those in favor?
Okay,
Okay, 5.
so the next thing is the house, as far as moving the house, it's in the most practical space. So when he went to word,
Greatest
Right,
practical.
right. So that's what I agree with that.
You want to make the motion?
I just did,
So
Second?
like based on your findings and
Yes.
there's no other practical.
right. I didn't do it right, word
Okay.
for word. You're right.
There's no way to make it less non-conforming.
Agree.
So a second?
Second.
Tia, those in favor? Right, 5. So any conditions other than referencing concerns about the drainage?
Location, it goes right back where it belongs,
Right.
where it started, and drainage. Those are the two big concerns that I have.
Right.
Based on this. But I think with the right contractor and neighbors watching, I think it's gonna go right back where it belongs. And the drainage, they're gonna look out for the best interest of,
That, and all
Of
the
the
work
town.
has to be done on your property.
Yep.
None on the neighbor's property.
And that's usually what
that,
happens.
that's a given anyways.
Yep.
Well, but
They can't go on their property, yes.
they could. I've seen it. Any other conditions?
We already talked about the reseeding, right? Replanting.
Yeah.
So that'll be according to whatever.
The code.
Code.
Yep.
2C.
And I don't think we have to say anything about the tree removal. That'll be up to your discretion.
That's not part of the, yeah.
Right.
No. No, it's just if they are removed, their requirements.
I'm leaning towards doing that. No pun intended.
And he has to get a shoreline permit to do work there anyway, so that that's all going to be looked at.
All right, so we don't
vegetation.
have to say anything about if you do remove trees, be sure. Yeah,
It's in the code.
okay.
So he needs permission to remove the trees. And
Yes.
that's your.
That's
Yes,
your-
okay,
okay,
that's theirs.
fine.
Right.
All right.
Okay, so a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the application before us.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Nice.
All right, you're done.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
And can you give me the date that you're gonna have
Gonna be
the guy come
well-watched
to get your
project.
trees?
I know.
There's going to be a lot of people out there on the road.
Well, it could be a problem. I mean,
I know.
if it's not done right.
Okay, we need to stop, please, and get on to the second.
Thank you.
Thanks, John and Meg.
Thanks, John,
Thank
Nick.
you both.
Thank you all.
You all, y'all.
Y'all, thank y'all.
Is that, do you
I'm
need
from the
that?
south, I'll take it over if you don't want it.
No, I don't think, and I take that.
Yep,
Okay, all right, yep.
We don't have to redo the board quorum and all that stuff, do we?
No,
I don't think so.
No.
we're still we didn't close the public, well, you did. You might want to open it up for public hearing like before, whenever you're ready, but we'll do the same thing.
Just start with the public hearing and then your presentation? Because you'll say what it's for.
Yeah, because you don't have to do any of this stuff. You can open up the public hearing, but I wanted to,
You wanted to,
yeah, I'll let you know that we do have standing. So I have
okay.
there was a question about that earlier, so I just wanted to make sure y'all
Right.
knew that the
That she
applicant
has-
has standing to,
Because she,
for her application.
Come on.
And it's as submitted. So if you want to make a motion to somebody.
Yeah.
Okay,
to include that in the record.
that they have, yes, it's included in the record and that the applicant has standing
Right.
to
Oh, okay.
apply.
Well, we can
do
start with that
this.
if you want.
Yeah, let's start
Yeah.
with it.
All right,
Sure.
you want to, someone want to move that the applicant has standing?
I make a motion
A
that the,
second?
But the applicant has, I'll second.
We saw a deed and now we have proof that she
Proof of
is
it, yep.
a.
Right, I can pass it around if y'all want to look at it too. That's fine.
That she's, what is actually your title in the LLC? You're
I think I'm vice president, my husband tends to be president.
But you're a shareholder or something like that?
Well, it's my husband and I own it, we're 50/50, yeah.
So based on those two documents, she has standing.
Standing.
Okay. All right,
You gotta vote on that. We had a motion and a second.
yeah. Vote, please. I thought we had, sorry.
No, I don't think we did.
All right.
we didn't,
All those in favor of,
She has
she
standing.
has standing.
oh, yes.
Unanimous.
Yes, I was
Thank
just
you.
finishing reading it. Yes.
Sorry. Back to Shanley.
Thank you guys very much.
Being at the end of the line.
Everybody's on green?
Yes, everybody's green.
So
Oh,
Shanley,
no,
you're up
Shanley.
next.
Okay.
You're not on green, Shanley.
All right. Okay, thank you. The application in front of you today, the second one on your agenda, item B, is a request to change a zoning board of appeals previously approved non-conforming use, cell-making business, tradesman shop, to another non-conforming use, homeschool collaboration facility on a property located at 255 Molyneux Road. Subject property is designated as RU2 Rural Zoning District. So when making your decision, you're going to look at all the facts, and there's actually a lot. There's a lot more than the previous one we just went through. But I've highlighted those in your packet, so you can go right through them. And the applicant has
Yes, that long list.
the applicant has addressed each of those facts in your packet and has a response. And if you have any questions, you can ask, obviously. So we're going to look at Article 6. It's 290-6.3D, changes of use. So the primary review that needs to be conducted and acted upon is whether the proposed non-conforming use, the homeschool collaboration facility, replacing a pre-approved non-conforming use cell-making business tradesman shop, whether it's less non-conforming or no more non-conforming than the previous business, the cell-making business. This regulation states that upon approval of the Zoning Board of Appeals, a non-conforming use may be changed such that it is less non-conforming or no more non-conforming than the lawfully existing situation. In making the determination that the use is less non-conforming or no more non-conforming than the lawfully existing situation, the Zoning Board of Appeals shall apply the standards in Article 6, 290-7.4C, standards for special exception permit. And that's that long list.
Article 7, right?
Yes, ma'am. And although they're not applying for a special exception permit, that's not what this is. It just bumps this regulation requires if they're going to change a use out, they have to follow the criteria and the special exception. And that's what you're going to use for your findings of facts and for getting your information from the applicant. If you have any questions at all, you can go through those. And they're actually in your packet
Yeah.
too. And
You're
the
talking
applicants-
about A through,
Yeah, the long one.
It's
Long
one,
list
it's
whole-
1 through 4.
right here.
Yeah.
Right.
Subsection.
Okay, and the applicant has prepared a sheet that has her responses to those.
Right.
I have,
Yes,
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
So-
John.
The powers and duties that the board has is, as you know, zoning board of appeals has power and duties as you can do changes in non-conforming uses or lots or structures and uses in the shoreland area. You can approve with conditions, or disapprove requests to and it's D1, change in a nonconforming use such that it is less nonconforming or no more nonconforming than the lawfully existing situation. So that's all you're doing is making a determination tonight is whether this use is conforming or less conforming or more nonconforming based on the criteria in the code. You just have to go
Just
through
that
each one.
list. Yep, John.
Yep, just that list. And that's all we're doing for that. And I don't know if,
I just wanted a clarification before we started. The picture of the old Heinz barn,
Yeah.
you have the front with an X. Is that all we're talking about? Is that one area?
Yeah, so can I cover?
yeah,
Sure. Because that's,
So we're just talking about, there's the basement area,
Mhm.
and then there's the next floor,
mhm.
sort of the main floor, what we call,
Yeah.
we're just talking about that floor.
But is
Up
that what's
above-
marked with the
It
X?
is, yep, so then up above is the ballet people. So,
Yeah.
as you know, it's 3 stories.
Oh,
So we're
yeah.
just talking about like, sort of the main floor, I guess. is what we
The
call
main
it.
floor is a small proportion of the total building.
Total building, I think is like 3,000.
It's
square feet,
huge.
maybe.
It is
I think
huge.
It's like,
So you're in this front section. That's it.
So this property here does not come into play, right? It's down here. Is that something you own?
what's this property?
This one here, I noticed it's highlighted along with
technically
that.
that doesn't come into play.
Is
That
the
doesn't.
one where the floats are?
That's the
That's
one.
where the floats
Yeah.
are.
I'm not sure why, to be honest, that was highlighted. That was a mistake on Jean's part
It's-
because Lake City
well-
LLC owns this.
Right,
Float
that's-
Barn LLC.
That's
owns
agreement
this.
with the town with
My
Sunny,
husband-
It's-
Sunny did many
Yeah,
years
so
ago.
Yeah.
my husband and I own both, but it's under 2 separate LLCs.
Yeah.
You own this?
We do. Yeah,
But it's a
It's not
separate
part of
LLC.
the-
it's a separate LLC.
It's not
It's
part
not
of
part
the-
of this
Not
application.
part of
No,
it.
I
Nothing
just-
to do with it.
What is
Yeah.
this?
That's.
That's somebody
Glover's
else's.
house.
Yeah.
Somebody.
The Glovers.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so that's an
So our
abutter.
property that we're talking about right now is this right here.
Right.
It's the apple orchard on the corner and it
It's
wraps around the
complicated.
Glover's house.
But these are the boundaries of their
Do it
lot.
every day.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody else does.
Bill Glover.
I know.
Okay.
He's
Oh.
inside, I talked to him.
And I do it just enough to be dangerous.
Dangerous.
Yeah, so this is totally separate ownership over here, but we do own that float.
Well, the reason I asked, I was curious, is, and I know I'm gonna get off base here, but the agreement with the town and the state with the Fog Bridge project, that's still in place?
To be continued.
It's for like a 99-year contract when Sunny did it. And I'll talk to you another
That's another
time.
day, John.
That is
Yeah,
definitely
can-
for another day. I'll
can-
have to ask Audra.
What I might suggest maybe if you do like a quick presentation up at the microphone and we can move forward if you're ready.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah. So Ibby Winkelhofer. A few years ago, a couple moms and I got together and realized public school maybe wasn't going to be the best choice for us. Anyone that knows me knows how much I love kids and love being with my own kids. The thought of them going off to school all day, 5 days a week was not what interests me. I really want them to be learning what I consider more valuable lessons in life. Practical life skills. So they've been going to Montessori, which has been amazing, but my older daughter is about to phase out of that. So a friend and I got together and decided to sort of do this homeschool collaboration. And I was actually just reading an article about over the last 6 years, homeschooling families has gone from 2 billion to 4 billion, 2 million to 4 million in the country. And it just keeps going up and up. So there was a lot of interest to have kids be, taught outside. So we, our plan is that our kids are registered as homeschoolers. My daughter she's 8 and she was very firm about me not being her teacher and not homeschooling her. So we have hired some teachers and we have a group of about 18 kids and families that are interested. That's sort of where we're at. We just, it's 4 days a week. They're outside a lot. And
And what's the maximum that space will hold?
so I think our number that we are thinking of would be 30, but I believe Clint had said the space could be for bigger than that, but we're not wanting to go any bigger than that. I mean, we're taking this, to be honest, year by year. And, next year there might not be any interest and then where are we? So.
Other questions from the board? I have one. On the same diagram, where is going to be the play area for the kids?
Yep.
And the education, because it's both play and education outside.
Well, it is. I mean, it's an outside area. Yep, exactly. So I can show you.
They've already got a small playground there now.
That we do.
Can I use your diagram?
Sure.
Where on this
Yeah.
one?
So if you're looking, sorry, if I just gotta
Yeah.
see it the way it actually looks on the road to me. So it's back here.
Right.
Okay, so you'd be way away
Behind the
from,
Behind the
Yeah, yeah,
barn.
yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
okay, good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is it fenced in or is it open?
It's open. We did, there is we're in the works of trying to figure out whether we need to put a fence up around it. And I'm working with the insurance company on that. I'm meeting with him to see, but we're going to get through tonight and then have him come over and look at it. So
And you've talked to your neighbor about upwards of 30 kids out there playing, even though there's distance?
I mean, the only neighbor that
Be
Yeah.
Goodwin and.
we've already talked to BB and we're in a great relationship with them. We bought the building from them. We talked to her. She lets, she's great. The Glovers, Bill Glover doesn't live there. His son lives there, but Bill, when I ran into him a month or so ago, was so excited about this.
That's the White House out front.
Is it white? Yeah, it's got the two new
Well,
dormers
two
on it.
dormers,
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
yeah.
So his son lives there.
Okay.
And my husband did put up a fence because where the parking lot was, there's multiple parking lots, but where one of them was, people would pull in and the lights would go right on the Glover's house. So
So
my
they put the
husband
fence
built
up.
beautiful fence so they're not, interrupted by lights or anything like that. So
So how long was the sail-making business there?
I don't know I'm not sure to be
while.
honest. It was there for a while.
And do you know when
Yeah.
it stopped?
Oh, 10 years ago, I
I
think.
don't know that
I think
either.
it
I was
was
going to
10.
say closer to 5, but I'm not
Yeah,
really
it's
sure.
Been a while.
Yep, yep.
Been for-
There-
How much modification internally you're gonna have to do to turn this into classrooms or
No, it was just one big space.
open
Yep.
space?
Yep. It's really really like a Montessori style classroom.
Right,
if-
right.
What's the age group we're talking about?
5 to 10.
Okay.
So it's a multi-age.
John?
Do you have to meet state standards to be able to do this?
Fire codes, is that all?
Yeah.
been-
Oh, all that stuff. Oh, 100%. Yep.
Safety code?
Yeah,
Yep.
life safety code.
100%. Yep.
She'll have to apply for a change of use with the town. So we'll go through all the life safety
Right.
code,
Yeah.
fire and everything.
How many
Ingress,
people
egress.
currently work there or are there on an occasional basis?
You mean in the whole entire building
In the
or
whole-
just in
well,
the home, just in the
In the whole
homeschooling?
entire system. I drove through today and
Yeah.
at 2:00 in the afternoon, there were 11 cars.
Today is Thursday.
Yeah.
Busiest day there is.
Okay,
Because
I picked a good day.
You did, because the ballet lady upstairs, on Thursday, she does homeschooling students. She homeschools her own kids.
Mhm.
So Thursdays is her homeschooling group.
Mhm.
So had you pull in tomorrow, there would be no cars, but our one employee's truck down behind.
And you're still utilizing the basement of the building for your float repairs?
Yep,
And how many employees?
2.
Two.
Same 2 we've had for years.
Mhm. Septic system? Now you're adding a number of little people there.
Yep.
Has that all been checked out?
We are working with Dave Studer on that.
Okay.
He's been there twice.
Yep, all right.
And he's been in touch with Clint and we're
Right.
working on all that. So
Right.
I think we're going to have to, we're going to be, I believe, doubling the system.
Sure.
So-
Yeah, well, you've got adequate property for that. So
Yeah, that's
not an
that's
issue.
not
I
a
just,
problem. Yeah.
Yep.
So he's in the midst of working up the plan for
In your
us.
application, you mentioned that 2 out of the 4 days would be lighter than others.
Yep. Because some kids are only 2 days.
Okay.
So some
So is it the
families.
same 2 days are light?
Yep, exactly. Yep. So the way we did it was, for example, one family wanted Mondays and Thursdays. We said, no, it has to be 2 days together. So in case there's another family, then that family would have the other 2 days together. And the continuity for the kids.
Yeah.
But some families are traveling from quite a distance. So I can understand just wanting to do the 2 days. So.
Other questions from the board?
Sounds.
Okay, and I know you provided us with answers to these standards.
I did, yeah. I
right?
mean, it's a lot of it's sort of not applicable, but I answered the questions that I thought needed an answer,
I'm gonna
that I
suggest
could
to the board
provide.
that we use your list, and then if there's something that we have a question about, we'll be talking about the same document.
Perfect.
Okay. So, okay, the first one, neither the proposed use nor the proposed site upon which the use will be located is of such a character that the use will have significant adverse impact upon the value or quiet possession of surrounding properties greater than would normally occur from such a use in the zoning district. In reaching a determination on this standard, the board shall consider A, the size of the proposed use compared with surrounding uses. I mean, the only surrounding uses is the private home, right? That one? Okay, so no change was, the intensity of the proposed use, including amount and type of traffic to be generated, hours of operation, expanse of pavement, and similar measures of intensity of use compared with surrounding uses. So this comparison, Shenley, to be sure, is just with surrounding uses, not with prior use. Is that correct? We're now on B.
Intensity of proposed use including. Yeah, it says compared with surrounding uses, right? But you're trying to estimate the impact. Is it going to be less conforming? or
Right.
more
And that's how you
conforming?
answered it in terms of.
I did, yes, exactly.
And the hours of operation are less than previous. Do you have any idea of what they were? I mean, other than probably 5 or 6 days a week?
What's
Sale
that?
making, I don't know.
Well, and it was a
Celebrating?
tradesman shop and the front building, excuse me, used to be commercial also with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 office spaces in it. And when we bought it, we changed that to residential and it's now 2 one-bedroom apartments. So that's only 2 cars, where before there was a therapist. So you have the therapist plus the client. And so there was often 10 cars for that front building. And that is, that is no longer. So I
A
know that-
yoga studio or something at one time?
there is yoga. There is still yoga.
It's still
Yeah.
yoga.
Yep.
So is there, the residential cars go in the same lot with yours?
They do not. Nope. We have a,
Separate lots?
yep. Yep. And we have it, you'll see tenant parking A, tenant parking B.
Mhm. So it's all
It's all
clearly, it's
labeled.
all designated.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's all paved?
No, it's paved except for the other drive, like,
Right, anywhere there's a grade, there is pavement.
Pavement.
I would say quick drive through 25 to 30% of it's paved, the rest is impervious gravel.
Great. Water can go through gravel, right? You said impervious.
Well, this gravel would be pretty impervious. It's going to be a lot of runoff. It's packed.
Oh, okay. Um, Traffic is less damaging to pavement than previous use, you're saying?
That's
well,
right.
I was a little confused by that. I mean,
They're talking
before-
about public road.
I was talking about like the driveway or so. I was a little confused by that, I guess. I was just,
No, I think this is about on the property. The,
So you're saying it's just more family vehicles?
It's more-
opposed to just work
Yeah.
trucks and stuff like that?
exactly.
Right.
There's quite a few little Priuses and.
that's a good thing. We like that.
Yeah, and just remember, there's existing commercial already there too, so yeah.
Okay. Potential generation of noise, dust, odor, vibration, glare, smoke, litter, and other nuisances.
No.
Certainly no dust or odor, except if they're doing wild dancing out there on the parking lot. Glare, smoke, litter, and other nuisances. And the noise from kids outside is not going to be close enough to a neighbor to bother them.
I wouldn't think so, no.
The expanse of that property.
Yeah. Unusual physical characteristics of the site, including size of the lot, shape of the lot, topography, and soils, which tend to aggravate adverse impacts upon surrounding properties. Is it pretty flat?
No.
It's back.
What's the topography like?
When you pull in and then it sort of goes down.
To the back.
So
Slopes down.
Does it slope down to that residence?
No.
Nope,
the
nope,
residence
residence
is
right
on
on
the
top.
side.
Yeah.
Oh, and then front.
Shape of the lot, no. Soils. Any questions about soils from people?
Mm-mm.
All right, the degree to which landscaping, fencing, and other design elements have been incorporated to mitigate impacts on surrounding properties. You've done the fence because of the headlights. And nothing else, right? Okay. Municipal facilities serving the proposed, this is 2.
Mhm.
Serving the proposed use will not be overburdened. In reaching a determination on this standard, the board shall consider ability of the traffic to safely move into and out of the site at the proposed location. You said no more than before, if not less overall. The presence of facilities to assure the safety of pedestrians passing by on the site. Is there a sidewalk?
No, all of that whole road doesn't have a sidewalk, so.
The capacity of the street network to accommodate the proposed use.
Roads.
It doesn't
Right, yeah, it's
affect,
just-
yeah.
And it's less impact.
Yeah.
Less traffic.
Mhm.
Capacity of public sewage and water facilities if they are used to accommodate the proposed use. Note, you don't use town water or sewer.
No, nope.
Capacity of the public storm drain system if it is to be used to accommodate the proposed use.
Shouldn't change it.
No.
Won't change.
Doesn't change it. The only ditch is on the other side of the road anyway.
At least you have a dish on the other side of the road.
There you go.
Okay, 3, the natural characteristics of the site, including topography again, drainage and relationship to groundwater and surface water and floodplains, are not such that the proposed use when placed on the site will cause undue harm to the environment or neighboring properties. No. And then undisclosed future, this is not, do we have to deal with, we don't.
This isn't going to apply. It's for special exception, but you can say that it doesn't apply. You might state that it doesn't apply.
So 4, undisclosed future uses doesn't apply. And the reason is because it doesn't apply. Okay.
There you go.
Not a special exception. Right.
Okay.
Told you I should have gone first.
Um, You just had to wait. And wait and wait, right.
You learned a lot, though.
Yeah,
Exactly.
okay, so board has any more questions? There's no one from the public here. Um, Any more comments or questions from the board?
I think this is pretty straightforward.
All right, no site walk is needed. So we're going to close the public hearing and then do findings of fact. So,
Does that mean I sit down now?
You can.
you man. No, you have to stand for the durations. No,
No.
kidding.
Yes.
Yes.
All right,
So
so
now we got to
go through those same standards, right?
that you just,
That we just did.
right?
Those are your facts, yeah.
Yeah, as finding as a fact.
Just went through all of them.
Yep, but we can just find as a fact what we found when we talked about them, correct? They don't have to be read again, I assume.
Well, that's what I was just going to say.
did it, yeah.
And
Right.
yeah, we just say,
Okay, so would someone like to make a motion about 1A? The size of the proposed use compared with surrounding uses.
can we make finding of fact
Finding
for,
of fact that where it's located,
Oh.
it's located at 659 Hope, no, it's not. Where is it located? Yeah.
255 Molyneux Road. So a motion that's
So
where.
moved.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Okay. Anything else, Shenley?
Not, other than you just, no, that's pretty much, you went through all your facts, finding the facts.
Right, and
for the
I don't
code.
think we made a motion to submit, to include the applicant's
Application
materials
packet and the
in
plan
the-
stuff.
and the planner stuff in the
Okay, make
packet.
a motion.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
All in favor? Okay. Now we can do 1A? Okay. Someone like to make a motion, a finding of fact about the size of the proposed use compared with surrounding uses.
No change, in other words, right?
Think so? Yeah,
So would you make the motion that there's no change to the use?
that we find that
And
there's
like-
no change in,
in-
The size of the
The size of the
proposed
use, yeah, proposed use.
Compare with surrounding uses.
a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, B,
We should have done this when you were reading them.
I know, well, we couldn't do that.
I make a motion, a finding of fact that the intensity of the proposed use is less than previous.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? C, 1C,
Noise, potential generation of noise, dust, odor, vibration, glare, smoke, litter, and other nuisances, less nuisances than before, no environmental impact.
Second.
all in favor? Okay, D,
Not applicable.
okay, finding of fact that,
Not a,
That it does not, it does
that
not.
it is not applicable.
Right, excuse me.
It's okay.
do we,
E, the degree to which landscaping, fencing, and other, so
design elements, right?
Yep.
Have been incorporated to mitigate impacts on the
So a
surrounding.
finding of fact that other design elements have been incorporated to mitigate impacts on surrounding properties.
Okay, so
Second?
moved. Second.
All in favor? Okay. 2, about the burdening of municipal facilities.
Mhm.
A finding about the ability of traffic to safely move into and out of the site.
No more than before.
Less
No more than the.
Four for
right.
sure.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Can we incorporate all those into one motion?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I thought that's
Oh,
what you're
that's a
gonna
good
do.
idea.
Can you do 2A through?
You can,
E?
you can say that you previously
E.
stated before in the meeting, A through
They're in the
E.
minutes.
So someone make a motion that, about A through E.
The
finding of
That we,
facts
that
that
the board
the finds
finds.
that A through E is, there's no more impacts, no
Or
more
non-conforming.
non-conforming uses than is there now,
Or non-applicable.
not applicable.
Mhm.
A second.
Based
All in
on the
favor?
discussion. Yeah.
And based on the application and the testimony of the applicant.
Perfect.
Okay. And 3,
It's not, a-
harm to the environment. So a
I make
finding
a finding
Finding
fact, there's
facts.
no undue harm, or it's not
Or new
applicable,
harm.
based on,
to the environment or neighboring properties.
Mhm.
A second?
Second?
yeah.
All in favor? Okay.
And then we're gonna say 4, we find is not applicable.
Non-applicable, right, because
Right.
special exception doesn't apply.
So does someone want to make a final motion?
I make a motion to approve the application before us
As presented.
as
A second?
presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Congratulations.
Yay.
Thank you, Abby, yes, enjoy.
You start review.
Thank you. Sorry you had to wait so long.
Oh,
You're very, turn them on. Turn your,
Turn on your microphone.
All right, I move we close the meeting.
Second.
All in
all in
favor?
favor? 5.
Thank you.